What's up, guys? This is Nick from Arch City Poker, and today's video could be continuing the How to Beat Live Low Stakes Poker series with today's topic covering volume and taking breaks. A little bit different of a topic. I've been covering a lot of basic strategic stuff on the felt. I've also been covering a lot of basic conceptual stuff that I'm trying to help you guys learn how to apply it on the felt. I haven't discussed the mental part of the game as much as I should be. That is a very underrated part of the game. The mental part of it is often what separates two very good players that maybe are on the same skill level. The player with the much stronger mental game will always be the better player. So I think that these topics will definitely apply to any stakes and any form of poker. However, for the majority of you guys that subscribe to my channel, it seems like you play a lot of live low stakes, and so I'm going to try to keep it a little more relevant, or I guess keep it a little more comparable to those stakes, I guess is what I was trying to say. So sorry for losing my train of thought there. But yeah, let's get into the first two topics. So volume, what I mean by volume is I see guys that run bad or run poorly, and they don't consider the fact that they probably don't have enough hands in to really determine if they're a true winner or not in the games that they're playing in. So, for example, if you're running really poorly, and often I see players they blame other players for playing poorly themselves and sucking out on them. They blame the dealer for some reason for turning that river completing flush card that makes their value hand not good anymore. Oftentimes you aren't seeing enough hands to really determine and really see the math out. Let's say that you're lucky and you get to play 10 hours a week recreationally, and you probably are getting, if you have good dealers, you're probably getting somewhere around 40 hands an hour, which comes out to 40 or 400 hands a week, obviously. So let's say not even 10 hours a week. Let's say you guys are busy, you're functioning, responsible adults, you have families and such and other hobbies. Let's say you play 20 hours a month, which would be pretty good for a lot of you guys that probably play recreationally. That is obviously only going to be about 800 hands a month. And a lot of players say that 5,000 hands is good enough for a good sample size. Other players say 10,000 plus. So just for sake of the video, we'll keep it simple and say 7,500 hands. You guys are going to have to play for up to close to 9 months to really know if you are a true winner in your game or not, to really know if you are running poorly or if you're running well. And a couple things to keep in mind that I would suggest to you guys. If you are running very well, then I think players neglect to review hands and review their games when they're running well. They just assume that because things are going well that they're doing the right thing all the time. I can't tell you guys how often that, and it's ingrained in me, and I understand that, being a pro player and coach, I'm reviewing hands all the time and such, and that's part of my career, but I can't tell you how many times where I've been running well, and it seems like I run worse than well more often than not. But when I am running well, I can't tell you how many times where I've gone back and found a couple of hands where I'm like, oh wow, that was not the best line. It might not even have been the third best line, and it's a little more rare for me. And like players that are very good and such, they usually take very good lines, but it might not have been the most profitable line. And so I may have just got lucky in that spot, and I might have just benefited from my hand holding up or my bluff that was probably too ambitious, working, just that time, but not, working, I guess, really well long term. So I think you guys understand what I'm getting at. If you're running well, like white hot even, don't neglect to try to review some hands and make sure you're still playing well and it's not just the deck smashing you and helping you out pretty much. On the flip side of that, if you're running poorly, then don't just assume that it's somebody else's fault. Definitely take a hard look at your game and review hands as you would if you were running well or running, I guess standardly, if there's such a thing. But if you're running poorly, definitely make sure to look at your game and make sure you don't have any huge leaks. Make sure you are taking good lines, and if you are, then don't overthink it and understand that you need a big enough sample size and enough volume to really see the math out, because this game is about making long-term plus EV decisions. In the short term, the cards are really going to dictate most of the results, and that's why you can't be results oriented. But long term, if you guys play long enough, and let's say you get that 9 months in, and you are playing on average about 10 hours a week, then you can really start to determine if you are, if your hourly is quite good, then you're probably playing really well. And yeah, maybe you had a few months in there where you ran really well, but you're probably playing really well for the most part too. And if you're a losing player over 9 months, then it's probably for some kind of reason where you probably aren't as fundamentally sound as you thought you were. So that's what I kind of wanted to talk about as far as volume. Keep that stuff in mind. I think it's very important. Now, as far as taking breaks, let's say that, you guys are running poorly. If I hear players tell other players, well, you just need a break all the time. The thing is, if you're playing well, and this is why I say you need to look back at your volume, you need to look back at hands and see if you're playing well or not. If you're playing well, then you should just continue to play and try to learn how to play through the bad runs, because A, it'll make you a much mentally stronger player. It'll make you a better player. B, like I said, with enough volume, the math will work itself out. And you're only going to be able to right the ship, I guess, so to say, by playing more hands and allowing the math to work itself out and allowing things to pretty much progress towards the mean again. When I would suggest to actually take a break is if you feel really anxious when you play, if you do feel like you are truly tilting at any point, if you aren't enjoying playing, if you come home and you bring home those feelings of, I guess, anger or anxiousness with you, and especially if you take it out on, other people that live with you in your house maybe, then that's when you should take a break and enjoy other hobbies and things in life and do things with your families if you have them, because as much as I love poker and as much as I try to spread it, via social media and via my students and players that I play with locally in Columbus, it's not the end all. And it's not the most important thing in life. There are other things that are way more important. And unfortunately, when money and competitiveness kind of clash, then egos start to come out, and it often does bring out the worst in players. So I would say, if you start to feel any of those things happen, take a break. And it can be, a day or two, it could be a week. Just do other stuff and don't do anything poker related. You'll come back fresh. You'll feel much happier. You'll feel more willing to play, which is important. So I don't want to ramble on too much about that, but yeah, that's when I would consider taking a break. If you're playing well, like I said, then continue to play and the math will work itself out. So if you guys have any questions or comments about this topic, or these topics, I should say, I know they were a little different, but this is probably one of the more important vlogs that I do. The mental stuff, the mental side of the game, those are all going to be very important videos in concepts and topics that I pass on to you guys. So until next time, this is Nick from Arch City Poker. Take care.